Hey guys, how's things? Oh my goodness. All right. Man, I've been going crazy trying to figure out what I'm going to do with these little pocket books or mini lap books, whatever you want to call them. And I think I have a plan. Um so I don't know if you remember, but if you watched the last video, which was like maybe 5, 6 days ago, where I was kind of talking about doing these, um, I had cut out a bunch of scrapbook papers that I thought would fit on some of these panels. And I forgot that I had cut them out to fit a different sort of format. But anyway, so I wound up having to trim some of those just a little bit, but not a big deal. Anyway, so here's what I've come up with. So these are my elements for each one of these. And I mean, I've got a bunch. I think I have like 28 of them already like sorted out over here. Not sure I'm going to wind up with that many. I'm feeling extremely ambitious about this, but as it goes by, I'm kind of like, oh my God, really, Jessica? Really? You're going to make that many? But we'll see. I'll do whatever I can. Anyway, because I think these are really cool and I think they'll be fun. All right, so here's my elements. So some of you said that you were going to work along with me, and so I thought, well, I better make a video and talk to you about where I'm at. Okay, so I've got the envelope. Now, like I said on the last video, you can use just a regular like 6x9 mailer, like a manila envelope if you want to. Like, doesn't have to be one of these. I'm not going to talk about where all this stuff came from because I said all of that in the previous video, but these are the Hobby Lobby envelopes. And someone commented on the last video and said, yeah, Hobby Lobby is now rebranding a lot of their paper products, especially the Paper Studio stuff. And it's now Hobby Lobby brand. And so it doesn't go on sale when the Paper Studio stuff does, which really sucks. And I have to say I'm not very happy about that, but whatever. I guess they just don't want me to buy their stuff anymore. Anyway, so here's what I'm doing. I'm taking off this this little part that's like the other half of the closure because it's just glued on. So I'm sort of like carefully removing it because I am going to take the suggestion of one of my viewers and just reattach this. And so I want to be able to reuse it. If I destroy it, it's not a huge deal. I can always make a new one, but I would like to be able to reuse these. So see what they've done. They just took two circles of craft paper, heavy duty craft paper, and then used a little eyelet to attach them together, and then they just glue it on. And I think that's actually pretty cool as long as it's, not yanked on super hard, So anyway, so I'm taking that off, and then I'm just gonna ever so slightly open this up, cutting the end off. So this is basically what you would do if you were using the 6x9 envelope. Okay, so that's now open. And then I've got my tall envelopes that I cut. I can't remember the sizes that I cut them to off the top of my head, and I threw away the paper. But anyway, so I took 3 of those tall envelopes, cut the bottoms off to make basically 6 pockets. Okay, so that's where these came from. Okay, because these were 8.5 inches tall. The other envelopes that you could use would be these policy envelopes, which are really nice. I love them. These come from clearbags.com. And I love these. These are so nice for avocado dyeing and stuff. Anyway, but they're slightly wider. So, you know, if you have something like this, you know, I don't know, but this would maybe work too. Anyway, so I've already glued some scrapbook paper onto the fronts of these. Okay, so now I need to decide what's going to get collaged and in what order am I going to actually like start attaching things to this cover. Okay, so that's sort of the whole point to this video, because there's all these different elements and things. I need to decide what I'm going to stitch on the sewing machine, when I'm going to stitch it, what needs to get collaged, and how things are going to get put together. Okay, so first thing, I'm just gluing down any scrapbook paper, any like decorative paper, whatever you're using, just kind of tacking it down where it needs to be, before I decided what I'm going to collage. So basically, I have all of these pieces. These are the pieces that I cut too big, so I need to trim them just a little bit. Okay, so here's how the thing is going to go together, right? So this is the back cover. So this is going to fold in like this. Or it's not the back cover, it's actually the front cover, but it gets attached on the back. So that's going to fold in like that, and then this is going to actually be the cover, right? And it will come all the way to the edge. Okay, so I cut this. This is a 12 by 12 piece of craft paper. I cut them 6 by 6 inches because these envelopes are 6 inches tall. And then I scored it at 1 inch and 1.5 inches. Okay, so that gives me a 1/2 inch spine here. And then this is a, no, excuse me, 1 inch and 1 3/4 inch. So this is 3/4 of an inch, and this is a 1/2 inch. Okay, because I needed this to be wider than the spine in the center. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Oh my God, calm down, Jessica. Okay, so these little guys are gonna go on this part of that flap. Okay, so they're gonna be like this, and then this is gonna fold over. Okay, so here was my dilemma. What am I gonna do with these 3 pockets? How am I gonna attach them so that they're usable? Okay, and the cover will still close nicely without, causing stress on different parts of things and stuff like that. So, when you're putting this kind of thing together, you have to consider how much stress are these folds going to take? Like over time, are they going to slowly like break down so that this rips off? And you don't want that to happen. So you need to leave a little bit of a gap, like so that it's not pulling that, so it's not putting pressure on this score line. Anyway, so there was lots of suggestions. I wasn't sure how I was going to put these down. I was going to just stitch them all together to each other and just make them one piece, but I really didn't like how that looks on the back. And so I decided not to do that. And I didn't want it to be just this big chunky thing either, because then I thought, well, maybe I could just put something else on the back of this, but then this ridge here, and I didn't like that. So, and then I had suggestions of one go down and one go over, and then this one go up. But another person pointed out, if I do that and this one goes up, it's going to be kind of a pain, because if you have something in this pocket, if it sticks out just a little bit, then that's not going to be good when you're flipping this up. You know what I mean? And I am going to notch these just a little bit, just a little tiny little notch. So, and then some people said to maybe do the other way. I kind of thought maybe a waterfall thing where they all go down like that. But I didn't really like that because I don't know. I just didn't really like that. Anyway, so what I decided to do was I'm just going to make them all like pages that'll flip this way. Okay. And that makes it, first of all, easier to assemble and put together en masse, right? And it also kind of makes it like a little bit of a book. Like this could be just a little bit of a story that, you know, anyway. So then it's a matter of, okay, how do I attach these to each other? Because obviously this one has to get attached to that one, and this one has to get attached to that one. And I don't want to create a whole lot more bulk on this side, you know, because I thought about using tabs, like paper tabs folded in half. But that's going to create a lot of extra bulk in this like hinge area. So I thought, well, I'll just use some kind of thinner paper, and make my hinges with paper. And so this is just craft paper that it's a thinner, like kind of like wrapping paper that you can get it on a roll, you know. So that's what this is. I buy it in sheets because this is what I use when I wrap journals to ship them. But so this is what I'm going to use for my hinges. Okay. So to make my life easier, I'm just holding it up. I just hold this one up here, and then cut that. Okay, so that one goes with that one. Now this one is going to be down a little bit, right? Actually, hold on, hold the phone. Yeah, because I want them kind of like evenly spaced, but they'll still fit on there. So this one is just like maybe 1/4 of an inch short. So rather than hassling with trying to measure that, you know, like, because this one goes right here, so there's this part that's not going to have a hinge on it. It's only going to be this section. I'm just going to hinge the whole thing and then trim that little tab off. It just makes it easier, you know. Yeah, it's a little bit more trimming, but it just makes it more simple. So anyway, so I'm just cutting these, just holding them up. I mean, they don't have to be exactly right anyways, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, so that's how I'm doing that. And then I'll just fold it in half and get the hinge attached, because I do want to do some collaging on the backs of these. Okay, so I just take that, fold it in half. I thought about using double stick tape on this, but then I was like, no, because it's hard to get it like exactly perfect up to the edge and all that. So anyway, so I'm just going to attach my hinges all on the same side. Make sure I'm doing it right. And this is the Art Glitter Glue. So if you've ever used this glue, you know that when it's stuck, it is stuck. It's stuck. And whoops. And that way And this paper is pretty sturdy. Like it's pretty strong. So I'm just attaching my hinges without attaching them to each other yet. Okay. Just got to make sure I do them all on the right side. And that also makes assembly easier when you're working on something like this where you're doing a whole bunch. If things are all done kind of in the same manner, you know, like, because that way I can just go through and glue all of these up and just do one process at a time. Okay, and it's time consuming for sure, but it's fun. I love gluing. I had to order some more glue. I knew I was going to run out of glue here pretty soon, so it's supposed to come today. Hopefully I won't go through 16 ounces of art glitter glue on this project. I have used quite a bit already though. Okay. Oh God, I hope I glued these on the right side. Okay. So this is how they're going to go. Like that, and like that. Okay, so what I do then, this is what I did on the other one. I space them out, just eyeball how I want them. So pretty much like that, right? Pick them all up at the same time, and then I just take my pencil and make a little mark because I know that's where those two need to be trimmed off. Okay, so then I'll just trim that off, okay? So that's pretty easy. Pretty straightforward. I hope that makes sense, right? I hate it when I'm talking to a customer service agent on the phone and they go, does that make sense? Anyway, so I really do try not to say that, but hopefully what I'm saying does make sense. Anyway, okay. So these are not going to get glued to each other yet because I'm going to do some very thin, might just glue a book page, or might be something else that I glue onto the back of these. Okay, so those are basically done for now. This, since it's going to be my front cover, I am going to put some kind of paper on the front, and it does need to get trimmed just a little bit. It's about 1/4 of an inch too wide. And I'm still going to do some embellishing on here. And I'm also going to do some stitching on this, but I'm going to go ahead and glue it down anyway. And since I'm going to do stitching on it, I don't need to necessarily glue it all around the edges. So this is just to kind of hold it in place, tacking it down so at least I know that that's where it's going to go. And then I'm also going to do, so where I'm going to do collaging, I'm putting a C. I forgot to do that on these. So this is a C, C, C. Like I said, it might wind up being just a piece of book page or something like that, but it's just so I know, just in my head, so I don't forget something. Okay, and then on the actual like cover of the envelope, I know that I want scrapbook paper on here. I am going to do some stitching on this, but it's going to be kind of minimal. Like, I think what I'm going to do, well, when this center, where's my center piece? Where's that little piece? Did I not put one in this one? Oh no. Sorry guys. Okay. Oh, it's right here. Okay. So this is going to be the pages that I attach in the center onto the spine. I don't want to glue this in yet because I have other stuff I need to do first. One of those things is, I know I'm going back and forth, but these pockets, okay, first of all, I can't forget that I need to stitch the bottom of these closed. So that needs to be done. But I want to go ahead and attach these anyway. I want to attach these to this piece because I'm going to collage the back and I want it to cover that. Okay. And then I can go ahead and do my stitching after that's all dried, because I like to do some stitching over the collage too. So, and yes, I'm going to do just a little notch on that. And this is going to get a magnet to hold it shut. So, okay. So again, this piece is slightly longer than my envelope. So I'm just going to cut this little tab off right now before I glue that on. Because it helps me kind of line everything up if you cut it off now. So trust me, it just makes it easier. So I'm putting my glue right up to the edge of that score line, that crease or seam or whatever you want to call it. Oops. Because I want to make sure that it's adhered really well and I get it straight and all that. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is going to be like a page in the book, right? Okay, and then the other one is going to be the second one, and this one I'm going to place at the bottom. Okay, so I want that trimmed right there. Okay, and then this one is going on the inside because I want the flap of the envelope to be on the front of the page. You know what I'm saying? I mean, rather than putting it back here, I want it here so that it's on the inside of the page. I try not to use baby wipes or anything when I'm gluing on this stuff because it does kind of add moisture and it makes it sort of warp, but then it straightens out once it's dry. But okay, so there's that, and then this is going to get collaged and this is going to get collaged. So I was going to try to make this into a pocket, but I decided that's more work than I want to deal with also. Okay, so those two pieces, those are done. Excuse me. Okay. And then this is the envelope that I cut off. It's just a, envelope. Folded it in half, cut a 1/4 inch off the edge on both sides. Okay. So now it's going to be like this. It'll be like a little booklet. This is kind of an issue to deal with. So this one, this little pocket, or the little envelope, I'm going to collage the back of that too, or just cover it with book page. This needs to get stitched too, but I think this is just going to be loose in the journal and I might clip it in or something. So it's kind of done already. So on here, I was going to just do like a short piece of paper there. But then, okay, how do I explain this? So I wasn't too concerned about covering, like making this piece the full length initially. Okay. I wasn't really concerned about it because I knew I was going to have this pocket that was up that high, right? So it wouldn't really matter if I covered that section. But here's the problem, is that I want this part of the pocket to be open. I'm not going to glue it down or anything because I'm not going to be able to stitch it with the sewing machine because I want this to be open right here, right? So I can't really stitch that. I mean, I guess I could, but it would just be really difficult. No, I don't think I could. I couldn't stitch that down and stitch this down without stitching this closed, you know? So this is why I'm saying, like, it takes a little while to like figure out when you're going to do things and like what your timing, you know what I mean? Anyway, so here's the bottom line is that I have to use a longer piece of paper here because this flap, this part, I'm going to cut those curved. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to take okay. So those all need to get trimmed. So then it's going to fold up like that. So it turns out I do need something to cover that whole side, right? So, and those need to get glued on now. And I could do some stitching. I could do some stitching around this part because now the envelope is all the way open, right? That depends on how ambitious I feel. I might do that. I don't know. I have to decide. Anyway, so it's much easier to apply the glue on here than on the paper because I have to do this little tab down here. Okay, and you got to make sure you get this bottom part. Okay, so I do want to make sure that I line my paper up with that edge. I want it to come like right to that edge. Whoops. I forgot. This needs to, the glue needs to be slightly to that side. There we go. Okay. So I got to do both of those. And I'm not even thinking about the pattern papers, like which one goes with what. I'm just putting them on. I just cut out papers that I liked, and so they're just going to wind up however they wind up. Okay, so I have to remember like in just a little bit. I finally got this thing to stop leaking out the side. I'm not sure what I did, but this little bottle, I mean. Sometimes I'll be using it and all of a sudden I've got glue just dripping all down the side of it. Okay. Make sure my paper is upright and glue that right up to the edge. Okay. All right. So that's that little center pocket thingy. And I like pockets like this because then you can put whatever you want in there and it's easier to just tuck it in there, you know. I think I'm going to notch these, but I think I'm going to notch them on this side after I collage them. So these are going to get collaged also. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do to that for now. And then the cover, I want to cover this panel. I definitely want to cover that panel. Let's see. I like that side. Okay, so this one, I'm gonna glue it down pretty well. I may do a row of stitching right along this inner edge, but I kind of don't think I'm going to. And obviously I can't on this side either because I've got this pocket here. I was going to just go ahead and do a row of stitching around this before I attach it, but I don't like to do that because I don't like to like stitch some stuff, glue some stuff, then go back and stitch stuff. Like I like to just kind of do all my stitching all at once. So I'm trying to simplify it a little bit. Plus, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but this could actually wind up being another little pocket right here. I don't know. So this thing is going to get glued on here. I wonder, yeah, I just can't make this thing much thicker than it's already going to be. But that's going to get glued on there. I mean, technically I could always attach this with an eyelet since it's not stitched down or glued down yet, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to glue it on. Do I want to make that a little pocket? Do I need two pockets on this side? Oh my gosh. The dilemmas. I do kind of like that idea. So, hold on. If I notch that, and then maybe trim it a little bit shorter, I might like that. It would be really cool to do this as a gusseted pocket. Oh my God, which I could do also using these little strips. I have to think about that. I'm going to think about that because I'm not sure if I want to do that on all of these. But anyway, so I have to get back to that. I'm going to put a paper clip on here just so I know that's where that piece goes for now. Okay, and then, so this is my back middle cover. Okay, so this is going to be in here like that. I'm going to have collaging here. So I'm going to put a piece of pattern paper on this side also. And this one oh my God, am I going to do a gusseted pocket on this side too? Oh, I'm making these way more complicated than I wanted to, but. Maybe I should. I mean, what the heck? I'm just making journals, right? Okay, I'm cutting. I know I'm wasting a whole bunch of this paper now. I could do that one gusseted like that. Oh, okay. I do kind of like that. And then this is going to be a pocket too. So that's going to get, well, I'm not going to notch it yet, but I'm going to wait until I attach this before I notch that. Okay. I'm glad we had this little talk, you guys. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, okay, so I bought a QB. Just saying. I bought a QB because I sit on my derriere a lot, like a lot. And I know that some of you may have the same situation. And I just simply, I have severe back pain and hip pain. And it's really, really hard for me when someone says, well, just go walk around the block. It's like, well, that's really easy for you to say, but it's almost impossible for me to stand for 20 minutes to wash my dishes. Like I have to use a stool. Okay. So getting my heart rate up and getting my body moving is a lot harder than I can even explain. And I know a lot of you guys can relate. Anyway, so I bought a QB because I'm just going to tell you, one of the things I'm dealing with is I have a varicose vein in my leg that I've had since I was pregnant with my third son 30 years ago. And it never caused me any trouble, never caused me any pain up until about 2 years ago. And I started getting blood clots in it, right? Which isn't dangerous. They're not deep veins or anything like that. Okay, but it was very painful, but it wasn't life-threatening. And it started flaring up right when COVID started. And so, of course, I didn't want to be going to the doctor and all that because I was afraid to go to the doctor. So I just have been kind of nursing it along and, wearing a compression and all of that stuff. But one of the biggest things is to move and to get your blood moving. And so I'm just saying, if any of you guys ever have issues like I have experienced like that, where you have pain and it's hard for you to move, and I know I sound like I'm doing a commercial, but I bought a QB and I am telling you, it made such a huge difference. Like, because I can sit here at my desk and I can literally like get my blood going, and it has really made it like so much better. I am going to get it treated. It's one of the things that I mentioned a couple videos ago that I'm dealing with, and some dental stuff. But anyway, so if you can afford to, get a QB, even one of the knockoff ones, like the knockoff brands is better than nothing. And it's real easy, and it fits under my desk. So, okay, that's all I'm going to say. All right. And I'm not sponsored by QB. Okay. So I do think I'm going to do little gusseted pockets. I think I'm going to do it. I might as well. I got nothing else to do, and I have lots of glue. I'm going to have lots of glue after today. I'm just going all out, I guess. Okay. So that's those two sides. I don't think I'm going to do anything on the back. I think I might just leave the very back of it plain, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to put a C on it because I'm not sure if I'm going to collage it or not. So that leaves this panel. And since I have the paper cut already, I think I'm just going to go ahead, and I've got enough collaging that's going on with all that stuff. I think I'm going to just go ahead and put me a piece of paper on here. Oh, I should have used one of those wider ones. Hold on. Oh no, I was putting it too far over. Okay, it's fine. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to do some embellishment and stuff on top of that anyway. Like I have all this ephemera that I'm going to try to use up, all these little tickets and just little bits, and plus I bought a bunch of that Tim Holtz ephemera stuff, the field notes things. And so I'm going to use up a bunch of those. On these little guys, on these little journals. I don't know if they're journals. They just are what they are. Okay. So that's on there. And then these are going to get, whoops. These are going to get gusseted. Oh, I'm going to like, oh, that's going to be cool. All right. And then, so that'll close that up. And then this is going to go on here. Then, okay. Oh, so here's the other thing. All right. So that's going to go in there like that. This is going to go in here like that. This is going to go like in a pocket or something. It might go like in that big pocket or paper clip it in. I don't know. And then these are going to go on here. But here's the other problem with these little pockets, right? When these are all in here, and so this little flap on the side of this, I'm going to cut the corners off, like both corners, so it will actually slide inside this envelope nicely. I mean, it'll go in there now, but anyway, so it's going to be like that. This will close up. This will go over. So what's going to happen is when you open your journal, it's going to be like that. And you're going to see the backs of these, and they're going to be attached over here. And that's not going to be good, right? So I need these to all move as one, right? They need to move as one piece whenever you open your book, right? So I'm just going to go super simple to solve that issue. And oh my God, where's my other little pieces here? So just going to take a little piece of paper and just like a little strip. And I'm going to, okay, let me cut this in half because it doesn't need to be very big. So then I'm going to do another thing like this. I want it to be in the center though. So that's going to go, I don't know, maybe I'll do a magnet. I think I might do a magnet. Anyway, so I'm just going to make a little latch, basically. I ordered 3 more packages of magnets today too, or a couple days ago. They're coming today. So just like a little thing to hold that down. And I guess I should have done it before I put this paper on. Well, I don't actually have it glued all the way down, so I could probably slip it in there. Yeah. So I could slip it in there. Somebody said they like listening to me talking through all my problems, so here you go. Got to make sure that those stay over though. And then the other thing is the closure. Like, how is this thing going to stay shut? So I'm thinking elastic. Okay. I think. I don't know. Maybe. I think elastic. But you know, that's not really a huge deal. I mean, I could even just use a piece of like sari silk or something, and just tie it around it, you know. Anyway, so this is going to have a magnet on it, and it's going to hold those down so that they don't flop around when you open your book, right? And then I thought, if I'm going to do like, I could still put an eyelet right here on this edge for my, like, to attach a piece of elastic, because it's going to be like this, right? So that's going to be on the inside, holding those down. So if I did an eyelet right here, I could just thread my super thin elastic through that or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out the closure. I could also do the elastic in the spine, you know, and then you just bring it around to cover the, you know, around the top to go across this way. So I don't know. but I have lots of options for closure, so I'm not going to stress too bad about it. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. I'm working on all of these, and yeah, so it's a matter of now I'm going to go through and get everything, all of these. I'm going to work through all of these to get them all to this point. Okay, I'm going to do the little strips on these to do the gussets. Does anybody want me to do that? I mean, I can do it. I could do one real quick. It's super easy. Like it's not hard to do. And you guys probably already know how to do it, but just in case you don't. So I'm just going to do more little strips. And this will be the same for both sides, for both pockets. Do that little strip. And then this one will be the same. And one more to go across the bottom. So this just allows you to, it gives this pocket the ability to open a little bit, right? So that, so you can put more stuff in it. Makes it a little bit more accessible. Okay. So that one's going to go like that. And then this is going to get glued on here. Oh, God, I hope I'm doing this right now. Glue it right up to the, pretty much right to the edge. Okay, and then this one right over the top. I want to make sure those stay open. And you want to make sure you're gluing these on the right way, the right direction. Jessica. And in case anybody's concerned about my leg, I had an ultrasound on it yesterday, and it's fine. And I've also had my other leg ultrasounded too, so it's fine. Don't worry, guys. Okay, so then what I like to do is then just cut these like that, so they don't interfere with each other, right? When you glue this down. Okay, so you got it like that. And then I like to kind of put stuff in place a little bit before I start trying to glue it down. And this is a situation where double stick tape might actually be better. So I have that one in place. And then this one. See, I mean, it's not going to open a ton, but it does give it more flexibility. You can do this with 3 pieces, like 3 folds, and that way the pocket actually will open like 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch or something. But this just gives it a little bit of extra give. Okay, and then those down. Okay. Yeah, I like that. And then it's got a little bit more slack. Anyway, so I'll do that on the other one too. Okay, so that's that. Got it. All right. I don't think there's anything else that I definitely need to worry about yet. So next video, I'll show you how I'm stitching everything. Okay. Oh, no, we can't do that yet. We have to do some collaging first. So I'm going to work on getting all of these to this point. And then the next time we get together, I will do the collaging on the back. I mean, like I said, I might just do book pages or something like that on some of them, but we'll start doing some like decorating, you know. Anyway, okay, guys. Hope that was fun for you, as fun for you as it was for me. All right. I love you guys. I will talk to you sooner than later. Okay. Bye for now.